Welcome to the Feel Your Best Formula podcast. Are you over 40 and tired of struggling with your weight? Do you feel like you're constantly starting over with your nutrition and fitness? I'm Lil, a certified nutrition coach and former registered nurse, and I too have been there. At the age of 44, I decided I was done with being stuck in the vicious diet cycle. I became a nutrition coach and created the Feel Your Best Formula for women who are ready to do things differently. If you're ready to build a better relationship with food, get your energy back, build muscle, lose fat, and keep it off for good, then you're in the right place. I'm so glad you're here. Now let's build your formula for feeling your best. Hey, welcome to the Feel Your Best Formula podcast. Today's episode, we are going to get into the nitty-gritty, the how-to, the why, and just the overall importance of what to focus on so that you can truly build a better relationship with food. Because here's the thing, most diets out there completely neglect your personal relationship with food. And at best, they ignore it. At worst, they create disordered and unhealthy thoughts when it comes to your relationship with food. And I have definitely been there. I've talked on here about my own experience with orthorexia, which is an unhealthy obsession with being healthy, where you just focus on only eating certain foods, fearing foods, thinking that if you have one bite of a certain type of food, that is going to be unhealthy, and really living in this place of an all-out, all-in mentality when it comes to dieting, and thinking that you're only being healthy when you're following certain food rules, and that you are completely unhealthy and poisoning your body, and you're going to gain all this weight if you are not eating in a very specific way, following those rules. And that, my friend, is an unhealthy relationship with food. So how do we build a better relationship with food? First of all, as I always say on here, this is a nuanced topic. What I can cover here on a 30, maybe 40-minute episode of my podcast is absolutely no substitute for mental health support or medical health support. And you should absolutely be collaborating with your healthcare team, especially if you're suffering from true binge eating disorder and eating habits that are truly uncontrollable for you. If you are someone like myself who has really spent the last few decades in and out of diets, constantly chasing a lower number on the scale, being successful at dieting off and on, but never really feeling like you had long-term healthy habits, a healthy relationship with food, maintaining a healthy weight and healthy fitness pattern in your life, then you're really who I'm speaking to here. And I think anyone could possibly gain some insight. But again, if you're really struggling with binge eating disorder or any eating disorder, then that is something that you need to work on with a healthcare professional. What we're going to talk about today are the 6 things that I think are really important to track if you truly want to build a better relationship with food. Because in my opinion, combating these thoughts and feelings that we have that are many times irrational and based on bad information, in my mind, the best way to combat misinformation is with good information and with facts. And you know what are the hardest facts, the most solid facts that exist? Those are numbers. That is math. And oftentimes we can let our emotional side of our brain override that logical side of our brain that knows understanding these numbers that, like the number on the scale, is a really great way to start building a better relationship with food when you truly understand what these numbers mean. And unfortunately, the diet industry loves to keep us confused. They love to throw out these red herrings for us to chase of, trying to convince you that a keto diet is the magic to weight loss, when we know that the only way to lose fat is through a calorie deficit, and sometimes a keto diet, just for certain people, it helps them eat less calories. But the keto industry wants you to believe that it is being in ketosis that is helping you lose the fat, just like the Atkins diet. Oh, you're losing weight because it's this special diet. No, you're losing weight because you are eating less calories overall. So first of all, we have to understand that, and understand that at the end of the day, if we want to build muscle and lose fat, we have to understand scientifically what that process looks like. And you can understand it in general terms. Of course, there's scientists out there that get into the real nitty gritty of it. But I think overall, as an individual who wants to take charge of your health and wellness, you just have to understand that there is a process for building muscle and losing fat. It's, number one, not as complicated as a diet industry would have you think. And number two, a cookie cutter approach is 100% not the best way to do things, because you are an individual. You are starting your new journey towards healthy habits in your own unique spot, and what's going to work for you is going to be different than the person next to you. So, if you are someone that is trying to do this on your own without a coach, maybe you're trying to calculate your macros, maybe you've even used my macro calculator, and you're starting this journey and you're not quite sure where to begin, in today's podcast episode, I am going to walk you through the different, completely objective pieces of data that can help you subjectively improve your relationship with food. Does that make sense? Objective data are hard and fast numbers. Subjective data is observations, thoughts, feelings, things that you experience. So I like to use a combination of these two, methods of assessing a situation when I am coaching my clients. And you don't have to track all these things at once, but it's really, really helpful. And especially with a smartphone, I mean, you literally have the ability to log all this information in less than 5 minutes per day. If you're using an iPhone, which is what I use, there are things inside your iPhone, there are apps inside your iPhone that are specifically made to help you track these things. And I personally wasn't even aware of them all until I started getting serious about taking control of my health, building a better relationship with food, and eventually getting where I am today, which is out of the diet culture world and into this space where I understand how nuanced and individualized our own experiences are, and how important it is to take control, be accountable to yourself, not only for the outcome, but most importantly, for the journey, for taking each step of the way with a sense of ownership rather than passively just following the rules of what someone is telling you to do, because that is where the magic happens. And many diets just have you focus on like one or two things, they're just having you focus on following, eating certain foods, or they're telling you to avoid the scale, or they're telling you to get on the scale. And there's just so many different approaches. and you deciding for yourself what are the things that are going to help you the most is the best way that you're ultimately going to be able to formulate your formula for feeling your best. So today I want to highlight the 6 things that I think are so important to track, and that ultimately by tracking these things, you're going to have a better relationship with food because you're going to understand there's so many other factors that go into your body and how your body responds, your body composition, how much muscle you have, how much fat you have, how you feel about your body. There's so many factors that go into it. And just taking the time to look at these solid data pieces and interpreting them can help you feel better and help you build that better relationship with food where you have confidence in your food choices and you can let go of guilt, shame, and ultimately feelings of disempowerment that so many diets ultimately leave us feeling disempowered. So let's dive in. Let's get started. And some of this, obviously, these are all things I talk about regularly on this podcast, but I'm putting them together for you in a way that I hope helps you see how gathering this data can improve your relationship with food. And if you don't improve your relationship with food, you are just going to continue to be stuck in this vicious diet cycle. And you're just probably never really going to have that growth and sustainability and confidence and get to that place that I think we all chase when we are someone who wants to improve our health, wants to lose weight, wants to have healthy habits, and all of those things. And I know that I've ended up in a very different place than I thought I would be years ago when I very first stepped foot in a gym, decided I was going to be the type of person who worked out regularly. And I love where I am, and I want you to get to a place where you realize that, you know what, going to McDonald's, it's not going to kill you, or having a piece of cake at a birthday party, that can be just something that you really enjoy, and there should be no shame and guilt. And also on a day-to-day basis, you should probably be choosing foods that are going to support your overall energy balance and allow you to build muscle and lose fat and have a body that feels strong and healthy and supports the lifestyle that you want to have. And that's not going to look the same for everyone. So, of course, I always talk about tracking your food, tracking your macros, especially when it comes to your overall calories and the amount of protein that you're eating. And I always focus on the protein first because that's what keeps you full and satisfied. Even though carbs are what provides your body with easy energy and power you through certain parts of your day, protein helps you feel more energized because you're not getting that slump that you get, say, if you just had a donut for breakfast and maybe you feel full for an hour, and I'm probably being generous there, and then all of a sudden you're thinking about food again. Or maybe you just have coffee for breakfast, which actually might make you feel not as hungry for a little while, but then you're just thinking about food again. If you are someone that constantly thinks about food, making sure that you're eating enough protein can really help quiet that voice in your head where you're constantly thinking of your next meal. I lived in that space for a long time of thinking, oh, I should be eating every 2 to 3 hours. And you know what? When you live like that, you are just constantly thinking about food. And when I stopped living like that, and now I just eat 3 large meals per day, I'm more productive, I'm more focused, I'm able to be more present, and I don't feel like my entire day is obsessing over what am I going to eat next, because I allow myself to become completely full and satisfied, which then carries over to a good 3, 4, 5 hours where I'm not even thinking about food at all. And if you are like myself in your, late 40s, maybe you're in your 50s, 60s, and you've struggled with menopause and weight gain and just thinking to yourself, oh, I'm gaining all this weight and it must be because of menopause and because of hormones and all that. If you are not tracking your food, then you literally have no idea how much energy you're consuming each day. And you can say, oh, I don't know why I'm gaining weight, or I feel like I'm still eating the same amount. Well, that's all subjective. Until you actually track your food, you're weighing your food, or you're scanning the packaged foods that you're eating, until you're getting honest about exactly the amount of calories you're consuming each day, you cannot say, you haven't really earned the right to say, oh, I know that I'm just eating the exact same way that I have been. And the other thing we're going to talk about on the flip side of that is you should be tracking your activity level to some extent, whether that is tracking your steps, which in my mind is really kind of the easiest thing to do. It's pretty obvious if you're getting 2,000 or 3,000 steps per day, and maybe you used to get 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10,000 steps per day. Even if you're eating the same amount of food, you're going to gain weight because your activity level is lower. And I just think to myself how much my activity level has shifted and how I've had to be more proactive just with having my kids being older, and simple things like constantly driving them to different practices, which probably equated to me getting more steps in and going to their games. And you might be walking to a soccer field that's a good quarter of a mile plus from your car. And all of those things add up. So if your lifestyle today is not as active as it was a year ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, but you're eating the same amount of food, then guess what? You're going to gain weight. So really having the numbers there when it comes to tracking your food and tracking your activity level. Now, of course, if say you do a Peloton or spin workout and that doesn't track your steps, I'm not sure. I think you can maybe put a watch around. I think I've heard you can put your watch around your ankle during those types of workouts to track, to get the credit for the steps, if you will. I'm not sure that I'm someone that would go so far as to do that, but mentally knowing, hey, if I'm doing 10, 12, 20 miles on my spin bike, per week, however many miles it is. I am not a spin person, so I don't know what a reasonable amount would be. But if you know that you're getting in a half hour, 45 minutes, an hour of spinning 3 to 4 days per week, then you know that you're a moderately active person, that you're burning some extra calories in addition to whatever it is that you're doing when you're just walking and getting those steps in through your daily life. So this is again where that self accountability comes in, being honest. Are you being an active person or are you a sedentary person? And I have definitely had conversations with people and had clients who truly believed they were active, but they were active in spurts. They might, go for walks here and there or go hiking on the weekends. But when it came to their day-to-day life, what they were doing most of the time, they were not moving much and just simply focusing on getting more activity in, moving more, being more consistent with workouts, and having the understanding, because this is another area where the fitness industry kind of messes with our heads. They want us to think, doing a half-hour workout 5 days a week is going to make this huge difference in losing weight. The truth is, your overall day-to-day activity level, I want to encourage all of you to be more active. Go for walks, go for a jog if that's something you're capable of, and just get out into the world, even doing things like going to the grocery store. Now, not everyone goes to the grocery store. If you are someone who's now not shopping once or twice per week and you're getting your groceries delivered, do you know how many steps that's probably adding up to in your day-to-day life that now you're going to have to make up because you're not organically getting those steps in? So being honest with yourself about how much you're really moving and understanding that, number one, the bulk of your body's energy needs throughout the day is just keeping your body alive, breathing, digesting your food, everything that your body is doing right now. That is where your body needs most. That's where the vast majority of the calories that your body needs, that's what it's being used for. Doing a half-hour workout per day, you might need 100 calories for that, maybe a little bit more or less, give or take, depending on your body size. And how active you are during the day is requiring much more energy throughout the day, hundreds of calories versus a half-hour workout, even if it's a cardio workout. So understanding that piece of the pie and not thinking to yourself, oh my gosh, I have to set aside time for a workout 5 or 6 days a week in order to lose weight. No, it might be easier for you to add in a 15-minute walk 3 times per day, or a 10-minute walk 4 times per day, or one 30-minute or 60-minute walk once or twice a day, than actually getting a workout in, just because logistically, as long as you have 2 feet that work, you can get your steps in. And I know that that's not always possible. If you've been listening to the podcast, you know that I had a really hard time getting steps in because I broke my ankle in 3 places and I've had a really difficult recovery. I'm really happy to say I'm going to be graduating from physical therapy in another week or so. And I've made so much improvement and I'm back to getting in 10 to 12K steps per day. And that is where I was before, and now it just feels so good to have that activity level back. But I understand the struggle, and I did gain weight when I went from being very active to being basically bedridden with my foot up and having a very difficult time being active. So understanding how impactful that is so important. And you know what? Throw on a Fitbit, an Apple Watch, like whatever, and wear it all day when you're being active. Wear it for a few days, wear it for a week, wear it for 2 weeks, and start to get those numbers. And don't pretend. Don't all of a sudden start doing things to make yourself feel like you're more active. Like, be honest about where you are right now and get to the truth behind what those numbers look like. And that's how you're going to start making your way in a new direction, by being honest with where you are right now. So energy balance, really important to understand the calories that you're consuming by tracking your food and the calories that your body is burning with just kind of getting a rough estimate with your activity level. And I use an app called Athletic, which I actually find to be scarily accurate, and that can actually give you even better numbers on a day-to-day basis, an estimate on, your energy consumption. But just having an idea of how many steps you're getting in, hopefully you're getting in somewhere between 5 and 10K steps per day. And if you're not, having an understanding that if you've been gaining weight, that is probably a huge factor when it comes to those results. Okay, number 3, I don't talk about this on here, and I really feel like it's something I talk about so heavily with my clients that I need to mention it here, but you really should be tracking your menstrual cycle. This is assuming you are a person with a menstrual cycle. If you have already gone through menopause, then this may not apply to you, but I personally am someone that can gain upwards of 2 to 3 pounds in that week before my period comes. And it can be so frustrating. And I will tell you, as long as I have been tracking, I still sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, why did the scale go up like that? And then I take out my phone and I look and I see, oh, okay, that's why. And it just is great to know that, you know what, my body is just hanging on to some extra fluid right now and it's going to drop off. And this is just the way things are. And imagine if you were only, weighing yourself once in a while and you just happen to catch yourself on the day when your weight is up an extra 3 pounds because of your menstrual cycle, and you're sitting there thinking that you've gained all this weight. So obviously, we want to be tracking our menstrual cycle along with daily weights. It is I can't tell you how scary it was for me to be tracking my weight on a daily basis when I first started. And I cannot tell you how freeing it has been to get to this place where I just weigh myself daily and don't even think about it. I don't put there's no moral value on it now. I was doing a program for a couple years where I would weigh myself daily, and you're supposed to celebrate anytime the scale went down and be like, oh, that was a weight loss day. So let me see what I ate yesterday. And let's hope that what I ate yesterday, if I repeat what I ate yesterday, then tomorrow the scale will go down. And now I understand that is very much throwing spaghetti at the wall, and understanding true energy balance, calories in, calories out, that is how our body loses weight over time. And just because you lose weight one day doesn't mean that you're going to lose weight the next day, simply if you follow those same exact foods. Like if you eat the same foods every single day, you're not going to have this continuous straight line of weight loss. So the importance of weighing yourself daily is you can start to build a better relationship with food and the scale, because you can start to see those fluctuations. You can see that when you have a little bit more salt, your body's probably going to hold on to fluid. You can see maybe if you have a poor night's sleep, you can start to see all these different factors. You can expect that the scale is probably going to go up a little bit if you're new to strength training. It's going to cause a little bit of inflammation. Your muscles are going to hold on to fluid, and it's going to take a while for that to come off. And this is all a very normal, healthy response. And continuing to weigh yourself daily, continuing to track your food, understand what that energy balance looks like for you, you can start to build a better relationship with food and the scale. Having a bowl of ice cream one night and then weighing yourself the next day and seeing that the scale maybe even goes down, it just helps you move away from this thought of ice cream is bad. Ice cream makes me fat. Ice cream makes me gain weight. No, eating an entire tub of ice cream every day for a couple weeks, yeah, it's going to make your body hold on to body fat because you're eating way too many calories. Having a correct serving size, whatever that looks like for you, it might be 200 calories worth of ice cream. Having that, you could even have it every day as long as you're staying with your total calorie intake for the day at the level that your body needs. You're not even going to gain a pound. And this is where we have been scammed and, given bad information by the diet industry because we are just taught ice cream is bad. So tracking your weight, tracking your food can help you see that there are connections there that you were not aware of, and that there are connections that you thought were there that actually do not exist, that just eating a bowl of ice cream does not automatically make you gain weight. Okay. The next thing that I think can be really helpful to track that I just kind of mentioned is sleep. And I used to come from this mindset of, oh, it's better to, wake up at 4 a.m. and do your workout because that's going to get you the results you want versus sleeping in until 5 a.m. And I've completely changed my stance on this. I have personally experienced the importance of sleep, especially if you're strength training and you're looking to get stronger. When does your body build muscle? When you are sleeping. And I strength train 4 days a week. That gives my body 3 days to work on repairing and building that muscle, because that's how we build muscle. We break it down and then we build it up. And I do my best to get as close to 8+ hours sleep per night as I can. And I do use an app to track that. I use my phone to remind me to go to bed. And I obviously have an alarm for when I wake up in the morning. But if I'm feeling really run down, if I'm not feeling motivated to do my workouts, I can often look back at my sleep and see, oh my goodness, I've been closer to like the 6.5, 7 hours of sleep every night. Let me work on my sleep and then the rest will follow. So, if you're someone that has dismissed sleep and felt like, oh, you're not someone that needs as much sleep, or you've prioritized other things over sleep, and if you have the ability to get more sleep, I mean, if you have a newborn baby or someone else that is relying on you in the middle of the night for care, I know that's easier said than done. But generally speaking, if you're someone who is prioritizing workouts or even work itself over sleep, now might be the time to reassess that and realize that actually, if you sleep more, you're going to get better results in the gym, and you're also going to find it easier to eat the more nourishing foods and being less tempted to eat the high sugar, high fat foods that we tend to crave if we are not getting enough sleep. Okay, what is the final thing that I want you to track to help you build a better relationship with food? I want you to track the weights that you're using during your workouts. And this, for my own experience, has had the most positive and profound impact on my relationship with food and understanding how important it is to eat enough. I spent years starving myself and working out, and then wondering why I wasn't gaining muscle and ending up in this vicious cycle. Now that I lift heavy, that I understand how you actually build muscle and what it requires in terms of calories and protein, seeing how I get stronger, and say my chest press, which I used to do with maybe 15 to 20 pounds, which now I do. So I'm talking dumbbells, one in each hand. And now, just depending on what the workout is, I'm either using 25, 27 and a half, or even 30 pounds, which is just so empowering. Or doing a Romanian deadlift with 30, 35 pounds when I used to use, again, 15 to 20 pounds. I spent a long time not lifting more than 20 pounds. I thought, oh, 20 pounds is too much. If I lift more than that, I'm going to get bulky. And now I understand the effort and the steroids actually that it requires to get that bulky. And also genetics has a factor in that, of course. We all have different genetics. I have some friends that gain muscle very easily, and myself, I am not someone that gains muscle easily. And I actually realized that I had to eat in a surplus, which means eating more calories than my body needs so that I could build muscle, because I just wasn't getting stronger. And that just happens to be my genetic luck of the draw. And I'm thankful that I built a healthy relationship with food before I moved into my surplus, because I think I would have been not good for me mentally to do that until I was prepared to do it. So when it comes to getting stronger, I am just going to tell you, it is the most empowering thing in the world, because not only do you see yourself maybe starting, say you're doing squats and maybe you start with 8 pounds in each hand, and then you go to 10 pounds, and then you find yourself using 30 pounds in each hand to do your same sets of squats. And I'm telling you, this takes time. This does not happen overnight. It takes years of dedication and consistency. Sorry, not sorry. That is how it works. You cannot build the body of your dreams in a 12-week boot camp unless you only have a 5-pound fat loss that you need to achieve. It takes years to build the aesthetic outcome that you want. But before we get to that aesthetic outcome, you can start to build your confidence and feel so strong, so empowered by lifting heavier weights. And it's really important when you're doing a strength training program to have that consistency. Now, some days you are literally going to be able to lift heavier than other days. And that is going to go back to your nutrition, your sleep, where you are in your menstrual cycle. All of these things work together. And the reason I want you to track these things is because then you can start to see the patterns in your own body, in your own life, in even relationships. It has such a ripple effect where you can see how motivated you are and how disciplined you are. There might be a relationship in your life that is impacting your ability to stay consistent with your workouts because you have someone that is intimidated by your goals and they're trying to sabotage you. And hint, that person could be yourself. So that is why tracking objective data, let's review, tracking your food, tracking your activity level, tracking your daily weight, tracking your menstrual cycle, tracking your sleep, and tracking the weights that you use during your strength training workouts. Having all of this information available to you at your fingertips can help you understand yourself better. And I think when we're on this journey to create change in our life, it's ultimately because we want to feel in control of the outcome. We want to have certainty. We want to feel good about ourselves. And until you understand the basic science behind how to actually achieve that goal, you are not actually being empowered and you don't really understand how it works. And then you are confused because you're thinking, oh my gosh, I'm following these rules. I'm doing all these things. Why am I not getting that outcome like the person in the before and after photo? And as I said on here before, I don't like before and after photos. They're not my jam anymore. I feel like we all are responsible for understanding that our results are based on our efforts, our body's needs, our genetics, and how someone else responded to a program is not necessarily the same way that you will. And at the end of the day, I want you to find peace with food, the scale, and your body. That to me is the ultimate flex. It's not weight loss. It's your ability to wake up each day, smile at what you see in the mirror, do your workout, be proud of yourself for going up a couple pounds heavier on your lifts, and being proud of yourself for showing up each day and simplifying things. Stop chasing these fads, these things that might sound really exciting to get started with, but ultimately are not sustainable. And instead, find the joy in the boring day-to-day decisions that ultimately lead you in that exciting place, the place where we all want to be, where we feel proud of ourselves, we feel proud of our bodies, we feel proud of our food choices, we have confidence, and we know that we're taking care of ourselves and doing what is best for ourselves. So I'll just review one more time. We want to be tracking our food. We want to be tracking our activity level. We want to be tracking our menstrual cycle, our sleep, and the weights that we use during our workouts. All right. Thank you so much for listening today. I will see you back here next week. And remember, you can send me a text message if you have questions or just want to reach out and say thank you or whatever you want to say. It's now super easy to contact me. It will just say, send a text to Lil. You should see that in the podcast platform that you're listening to. You'll see that in the episode details. All right. Have a great week. Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode of the Feel Your Best Formula podcast. If you enjoyed the information and discussion we had here today, then make sure to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode. If you're serious about making changes with your nutrition and fitness, then you definitely want to join my weekly newsletter list as well. You can find the link below and more information in the episode details. That's all for today, and we will see you back here next week for a new episode of the Feel Your Best Formula podcast.